Perspective Shift, Episode 5, Speak Kindly to Yourself. I'm your host, April Rodriguez, and thank you for taking the time to listen. I hope everyone's had a lovely week. I wanted to share where my thoughts were this week. Other than it being an incredibly fun week with my partner, Anthony, celebrating his birthday, negative self-talk was on my mind. I've had my share of experiences with having to speak more kindly to myself, but the situation I dealt with this week crept up on me and hit me kind of hard. Sometimes you'll find yourself basing your value on the actions of others. Someone will innocently say or do something that causes you to react without you even realizing it. You get lost in your thoughts, and before you know it, you find yourself comparing yourself to others, which then becomes a harsh criticism of yourself. You're scrolling through social media trying to understand what it is that you're missing that everyone else seems to have, setting yourself even further into a spiral of self-loathing. We tend to be creatures of habit. Our morning routines, your route to work, the way you walk through a market. We like to be familiar, even mentally. We get comfortable in our mental routines as well. The way we respond when asked a question like, "How are you?" "I'm fine." To the way we argue, and even the way we talk to ourselves. Imagine with me a field of tall grass. When you're young, that field of grass is unexplored, tall grass is everywhere. But as you get older, you develop pathways of behavior. Lots of different pathways for lots of different situations. Some of them are more defined than others, and some of them are healthier than others. When we get so familiar with the pathway, sometimes we don't even think about it, we just do it. Similar to the way that you can get in your car, start driving, and realize you're at work before you know it. You were zoning out, but your body knew exactly what to do. Your brain reacts similarly to situations. So when you get triggered, your mind goes down the familiar path of self-loathing, saying mean things, telling yourself you don't look good enough in a certain outfit, or you're not talented enough for that job or project. Someone may have said it to you once or twice as a kid, and now that's all your brain thinks of. In fact, it's gotten really good at finding just the right mean thing to say. But with time, patience, and perseverance, you can slowly change the path, and ultimately the way you react to certain situations. Initially, it might take some time to realize you're saying mean things to yourself, but that's okay. Catch it as soon as you can and start doing repair work. Ask yourself why you might be saying these things to yourself, and instead of focusing on your weaknesses, which everyone has, shift your perspective to your strengths and accomplishments. Eventually, you'll catch yourself quicker and quicker, and maybe at some point you'll have a completely different pathway. If you find yourself bullying yourself, acknowledge it and create a new mental pathway, one where you're your own best friend, complimenting and supporting yourself, reminding yourself how badass you are and all the amazing relationships you've built and all the things you've accomplished. One thing that really helped me was envisioning myself as two different people, the adult version of April and the 4-year-old version of April. There's no one who's going to look out for that 4-year-old version of April except for me. I'm the one responsible for looking out for her, for making sure good things are going into her head. It's my job to make sure that she's thinking kindly of herself. You wouldn't go telling that 4-year-old that they weren't good enough or that they were stupid. You would encourage and help them. You have to make sure you're speaking kindly to your little person. Remember though, it takes practice and repetition. Also this week, I realized how important my hobbies are to my sanity. People will often comment on the fact that I have a lot of hobbies and interests, almost as if it were a feat or an accomplishment. But honestly, it's how I'm able to keep sane. When I'm not working on something, I find myself getting anxious and my energy bursts out in ways that others rarely like. If I didn't have all my interests, I think I'd get on a lot of people's nerves or seriously go crazy. This is why I'm a huge advocate for arts, especially in the education system. A lot of low-scoring kids in our education system are kids who really do well in creative subjects. They're low-scoring because they're not exposed to subjects that fill them with passion, so they act out of boredom. And that's how I feel when I'm not able to create or express myself. I get anxious and I start doing things that might irritate people. So if you find yourself feeling bored or anxious, try a new hobby. Trying new things can be scary, but honestly, no one has to see except you. Moving on to this week in astrology and tarot. This week we have 2 major planetary movements. We have Venus moving into Pisces this week. The planet Venus is associated usually with love, beauty, relationships when it comes to astrology. And whimsical Pisces increases our intuition and imagination. So Venus in Pisces will bring out the hopeless romantic in all of us. Whether it be confessing our love, writing poetry, or appreciating the beauty around us, we're going to be feeling very romantic. Venus is very happy in Pisces, so this transit should be a really pleasant one. Take advantage of this romantically dreamy time, especially with spring upon us now, by spending some time in nature or expressing your feelings for a loved one. The next planetary transit that we have coming up is Mercury finally going direct into Pisces. I'm sure plenty of you are looking forward to this one this Thursday at 10 a.m. Once Mercury goes direct, you might find that communication problems begin to settle down, but don't forget that a few days after Mercury direct, you still want to account for miscommunications and the settling of everything. You'll begin to find solutions to your communication problems and technology problems, and things will feel like they're finally falling back into place. Mercury will stay in Pisces for a few more weeks, so your communication might be a little clouded with rose-colored glasses. You might find yourself giving others the benefit of the doubt. You might find yourself a little more dreamy. Those rose-colored glasses tint the world for us and show us the world in a more favorable light. You'll notice that Pisces has a strong effect on the planetary movements this week, so just be wary of Pisces' dreamy nature. Luckily, the sun is in Aries and will help to balance out some of that water energy, pushing you forward into whatever you're working on. This week in tarot, I pulled the Strength card and the Eight of Swords reversed. So strength typically represents not necessarily the physical strength, but it represents the mental strength. Maybe you're going through difficult times, maybe you're stressed out, maybe you're frustrated, maybe you're frazzled, but the Strength card shows that you have the ability to overcome any difficulties or any problems you might be facing, even if you are feeling tired. The Eight of Swords, typically when it's upright, it represents self-limiting thoughts. A time when you're feeling trapped in your current situation, but really the only thing that's limiting you is the way you think. Reversed, it shows that your limiting beliefs are preventing you from moving forward. But you're coming to a breaking point. You're tired of feeling like you're not enough. You're tired of telling yourself that you can't do it, or that there's all these walls around you, and you're ready to break them down and do something about it. Luckily in this reading, the Strength card is first. It shows that we're able to overcome whatever obstacle we're facing, even if it is in our own head. I know you may be tired, frustrated, and at your wit's end. Constantly having to criticize oneself and feel guilty about it is a lot of work. But you'll feel better once you set yourself on a track that is more supportive to yourself. You'll feel so much more energized when you take your energy from beating up on yourself by reminding yourself constantly of your flaws and moving it to being more supportive of yourself and your path. So this week seems to be one of breaking points. One where you're tired of beating up on yourself and you're ready to stand up to that bully and start saying nice things to yourself. So again, if you find yourself saying mean things or putting yourself down in any way, it's okay. It's not a straightforward process. It's going to be messy and you're going to make mistakes. Just backtrack, remind yourself of all the wonderful things that you accomplish and do, and all the wonderful people you've met and made strong, lasting relationships with, and move forward from there. Before I go, I wanted to remind you guys that I do spiritual guidance readings for $25. We can do that in person through Google Duo, or I can write out a report for you depending on what you like. I also am still doing stick and poke tattoos. This is the last week for the March flash sheet. So if you're interested in one of those, send me a DM. I also have my tarot workshop this Sunday. We'll be doing journaling, meditating, and altar building. Again, that's this Sunday, March 31st at noon, and it is $10 a person. Echoed Influence is doing a Game of Thrones premiere night, April 14th, 2019, from 5 to 8 p.m. That's $15, and it includes a feast and a White Walker drink. We'll be doing trivia before to remind us of all the awesome things that happened in the seasons before, and then a discussion afterwards of the episode. We also have game night on Friday, April 19th, from 6 to 9 p.m., and that is $10. Pre-sale tickets come with pizza, snack, and a drink. And we have Smash Brothers, Mortal Kombat, and Injustice tournaments to sign up for. Make sure you sign up soon, though, to reserve your spot before they fill up. Well, that's it for me. Thank you so much for listening to Perspective Shift Episode 5. I appreciate all your love and support, and I will see you guys next week. Have a great week. Bye!